agree that I did do that. And we use that one as a guide.
I finish him.
So how we used to just like take
Charlie. And if you want to finish, I will tell you.
Okay. Okay, so I hope I'm loud and clear. I hope I'm loud and clear. I will continue. I'm continuing. More fire, more fire. Let's go. Baby, I'm not one I got to ask. But yeah, still going over with the notes. Okay, so let's go. Swing structure, strong structure. Nice, nice. See, when price breaks, I've already, I'm already asking me didn't come, so I'll continue. Okay, so strong structures are structures that were able to break structures. Strong structures are structures that were able to break structures. And before everything, the note stated that a structure or structure in the market are highs and lows. Simple. That's the simplest. That's the simplest definition that we can give you to structure. Highs and lows. Highs and lows. So strong structures, strong highs and lows are highs and lows that we're able to break highs and lows. If that's how we are going to think about it, that's how we should see it. Strong structures, yes, strong structures are structures that we're able to break structures. So in a bearish market structure, the lows are weak. In a bearish market structure, the lows are weak. We've already gone through what a bearish market structure is, what a bullish market structure is. I've touched on swing, fractal, and internal a little bit, at least, yes, a teaser into it. I've touched on premium and discounting pricing, premium and discount pricing. So I think now what I'm going to do, or from the notes, is it is going to be layered. It is going to be layered on top of the other, and I'm going to use the chart to explain whatever I mean. So we have strong structures. So strong structures are expected. No, in a bullish market structure, the highs are weak. So we have, here's a bullish market structure, because we've already gone through what a bullish market structure is. We said bullish market structures are a series of higher highs and higher lows. And I said they are higher highs and higher lows because price created a high, right? But this high is higher than the previous high in bullish market structure. So price created this high, but this high, although these two are all highs, this high is higher than this high. We have this low here, and price created another low after we created this high. So although these two are all lows, but this low is higher than this low, that's why we call it higher low, and that's why we call this higher high, because it is higher than the previous high. So in the bullish market structure, the note is saying the highs are weak. The highs are weak. Why is the high weak? Why is this high a weak high? Why is the high a weak high? It is a weak high because in this bullish market structure, we expect this, or in market structure, we say weak structures are structures that failed. We have already touched on that. We said weak structures are structures that failed to do its job. Strong structures are structures that break a structure or that broke structures. Weak structures are structures that failed to break structure. So here you can see here is a strong structure. Why? Because you can see it. We can see that it broke this structure, right? Here we can see this structure is a weak structure. Why? Because it failed to break this structure, or it failed to break this structure. So if price here, you can see here is a weak structure, here is a strong structure. Why? Because after this structure formed, you can see price came to the lows and then we broke below the lows. Again, if we are looking at it from the structure point of view, then we can see this. We can see that here is a strong structure, here is a weak structure. Why? Because this one broke a structure, this one hasn't break any strong structure. If the moment we break this structure, we can deem here to be a swing break of structure, but you know that we haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm just explaining the strong structures and the weak structures. So when we get this break of structure, when we get this structure forming here, we have a strong structure. We can say here is a strong structure. From market structure perspective, here being the internal structure, then you can say yes, this low is a strong low. Why? Because it broke this structure. But from a swing structure perspective, it having breaking in here BBI. So that's strong structure. So in a bullish market structure, the highs are weak. So here this high, it is weak. Why? Because here is a bullish market structure. But somebody might, as if you have been through the last module of the video that I did, you will be asking yourself, why is this a bullish market structure? Because here is the low, and here is the lower low. Here is the high, and here is the lower low. We have created a high, but this high is lower than this high. So from the market structure point of view, here is supposed to be a lower high, and here is supposed to be a lower low. When we expect price to break this structure to form a lower low, and price to pull back to form a higher low, to form a lower high, and for price to continue to break that low. Because in a bearish market structure, the highs are strong, the lows are weak. In a bullish market structure, the highs are weak, the lows are strong. So swing lows are the lowest points that causes a swing high. Swing high is the highest point that causes a swing low. So we have a swing high here, we have a swing low here. Within here, he had an internal high here. He had a fractal high here. This is the three type structure that I touched on. I'm layering on some of the layers one by one. I don't wanna add bunch layers on this concept. And that's why I'm going by the notes, taking it one by one. So now I explained that we have a swing structure, we have an internal structure, and we have a fractal structure. Now I've given you a visual representation of what a swing structure looks like, what a fractal structure looks like, what an internal structure looks like. I'm not going to go deeper now. I'm not going to go any much deeper into that. As I'm following the notes, it will happen. So the highest points and the lowest points, you see, we are dealing with structure. We are dealing with market structure. So that's why we are dealing with the highs and the lows, because what structure is highs and lows in the market. So the highest points of a structure and the lowest points of a structure are the swing structures. The swing, that's the ultimate area. Swing structure is king. So when we look at this bearish market structure, the bear market started free, and where the market started, when the market ended, these are the swing structures. Within the structures, we have maybe price will pull back in some way, and have some kind of pullback, because price it is not sustainable for price just continue moving downwards. Definitely there will be some level of, because that the reason is the main reason is from technical point of view, the main reason is we need both supply and demand to make a trade. There can't only be sellers in the market whereby price is only selling, going to no, it doesn't work like that. And we can't only have buyers in the market where price is only going to the upside. No, we need both buyer and a seller on each trade. On each particular candlestick that we see, there were buyers and sellers that went in agreement for that trade to happen. Right, so at some point when price is in impulsive structure, we will have a corrective pullbacks in it. When price is in pullback phase, we will have corrective structures in it. It's just the fractal nature of the market. But that's the reason why we have this highs, we have this swing fractal and the internal to distinguish between the significance of the structures. Right, so a swing low, a swing high is the structure that causes this swing low, not this, but the highs. So when, let's see, looking at this structure, price continue and price breaks this structure and we continue to the upside like this, right? You can see that here becomes, although here is a right now here is a strong structure. Why is this a strong structure? It is a strong structure because it was able to break this low. It is as simple as that. Very simple. It was able to break this low. We have here as a low and here as a high. This is the bearish market structure. We have our fractal structures, we have our internal structures, and we have our swing structure. Now the fractal structure was broken. The swing structure was broken. The internal structure was broken, and price is coming to the upside. We expect price to not break this structure. Why? Because it is a strong structure. It is a strong structure. So we expect price to not break this structure. As for price to continue to break the weak structure. Why? Because it is going to fail to break a structure. That's an assumption. But we don't know. Anything is possible in the market. Anything can happen. Each market structure is unique. Although, so let me let me digress a little bit and bring in some form of psychology to or philosophy to explain this what I've explained right now. So each moment in the market is unique. Each moment in the market, each candle on a 4-hour candle, each 4-hour candlestick is unique. There is no 4-hour candlestick on this price chart that is exactly the same as the main word is exactly. That is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Never. I don't know. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Anything can happen. Everything was there. But the possibility of a movement in the market, repeating itself as the same as some unique, no, bro, it is very slim. Nothing is impossible. I really believe this, but it is very slim. Why? Because looking at this, then it remains this kind of how it forming the people, how everything was like at the moment for this thing to happen has to be the same. From the beginning of me starting the video here, from the last 14 minutes, whatever Makasa Bibia, if the can come back, I mean, can exactly they say I can never do that. It will never happen. I don't know. Nothing is impossible. Okay, nothing is impossible, but I don't know. The chance of me doing is slim, and I believe each moment in the market is unique, right? So each moment, this how this structure has formed can be like my edge. I know, say when we get this structure, we get a berry structure that has broken a weak structure to form a lower low. Now it signals that we are in the bearish market structure. After a break of structure, we expect a pullback. I'm starting from maybe I started free noon Namideba. So after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. Price has broken a fractal structure, it has broken an internal structure. Now price they pull it back. So we expect this one to form this lower high for price to continue, or for this one to create a strong structure for price to continue, namely these lows, for price to continue the bearish market structure. That's why it is a probability game. That's why it's a probability game. So there's a higher probability, say the main concept, say there's a higher probability, although anything can happen and each moment in the market is unique. This structure that has formed on like larger time, if I'm executing this kind of structures, or if I'm waiting for this structures, this edge to happen, what I know like this to happen in the market consistently, the chance of this playing out in my favor is high. The probability of me winning much than losing is high. So let's see, with the structures that is happening, I've been selling from here, and as I am selling, price came to the lows. I waited for price to pull back, to form a strong structure. Here is the weak structure, and it break it to the lows, because here we had our internal structures, we had our fractal breaks. Here the same thing has happened. So here I made money, and the same thing has happened, right? So here I expect price to go, and even here price has moved in my favor a little bit, and price is pulling back, and price has taken me out. Price can come and take me out here. Price can come pull mass into the zone to continue. Anything is possible. Anything can happen, but I'm sort of analyzing this to gather and put much of the odds in my favor. To put one of the odds in my favor. So we have these structures here. Yes, I'm not analyzing this, I'm using a note. So strong structures are expected to not get breached because the moment it gets broken, the trend shifts structure. The moment it gets broken, the trend shifts, structure changes. So strong structures are expected to not get breached or broken because the moment it gets broken, the trend shifts, structure changes. So here's a strong structure. From internal structure perspective, here's a strong structure. From market structure perspective, we have a strong structure here. So here's a strong swing high. So here's a strong swing high. Here's a strong swing, strong internal. Here's a strong internal. So here's the internal structure. This structure, we can classify all of this as a swing, an internal structure, right? So when we get the internal structure, this is an internal group of structure, right? So I will use this. Now we have two strong structures, so I will use these two structures to explain what I mean. Strong structures are expected to not get breached because the moment it gets broken, the trend shift structure or trend changes. So here the internal structure was bearish. So let's say price moved to the low, price pulled back, price continued to the lows. So this it's a best way and you can't only have sellers at some point. No matter how impulsive the structure is, there will be corrective moves in it to facilitate the pullback, to facilitate the main move. You need corrective structures for pullbacks for impulsive to happen. So price will come. So from the market structure perspective, here is the internal structure to the lows. Here is a strong swing structure, right? Fine. Price breaks an internal high. When you get to this internal high broken, now here flips from being a strong internal structure to now being a low internal structure, a weak internal structure. Why is this a weak internal structure? This is a weak internal structure because it failed to break a structure. So now, here, as we have this high, we created this low. We expect price to pull back. Remember, after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. So we expect price to pull back and price to continue. Now, when this happens, here becomes a strong structure because it broke this low. Here becomes a weak, it failed to break this structure. Here becomes a strong structure because it broke this low. Here becomes a weak because it fails a strong, and then price will continue. But this is not what is happening here. This is not what is happening here. Is not what is happening here. So when this structure gets broken, it means trend are shifting from bearish to bullish. So the expectation for price to continue bearish, we don't expect this strong structure to get broken. When this swing structure gets broken, it means the swing structure has shifted to bullish. The swing structure shifts to bullish. When it continues, fine. When it don't, means it has shifted bearish. fractal structures are the tiny little pullbacks in the fractal structures are the tiny little pullbacks in the market, which it's the strong break. So fractal structures are the tiny little pullbacks in the market, in which it gets broken. It signifies the start or end of an internal pullback. What the book is trying to say is that fractal structures are the lowest and the weakest form of structure. When they get broken, they signify the start and end of an internal pullback. Simple. So now we have a swing structure, we have an internal pullback. So you have an internal structure and we have a fractal structure. We have a swing, we have internal, we have fractal. When fractal structure breaks, book in say it signals the start or end of internal pullback. So we have this internal pullback. When price breaks this internal structure, it don't signal that this swing pullback is starting. So then we can't deem this to be an enough significant pullback, so that we can't mark this one like from what you. Let me read this. After a swing break of structure, we expect a swing pullback. When the weak structure breaks, we wait for a significant pullback before we mark our swing structure or our swing weak structure. So when the weak structure breaks, we wait for a significant enough pullback. So we know say when fractal structure breaks, it signals the start of the internal pullback, but it don't signal the start of the swing pullback. But it is the earliest confirmation that the swing pullback might be happening. So there's some level of trick be here. You need to pay close attention and not how do I say this? So fractal structures, when it happens, say I break it down, it doesn't signal say internal swing structure a signal say internal structure no, either say a starting and I say a ending. That's the objective. Say internal structure and a starting and I say a ending. But when it happen now, and then that's the main way I just say my friend saying the way it happening, the swing structure and it happening. So from what this is from what this is happening, say you have this swing break of structure. That's it, we are expecting this pullback now. When we get to this fractal break of structure, this can be the earliest sign that this swing pullback is happening. So we can get the move and start to play this swing pullback. But it only signals the start and end of the internal pullback. So the main objective of the internal structure is to facilitate the swing pullback. The main objective of the internal structure is to facilitate the internal pullback. So what is the internal pullback? Now I'm glad this thing is happening, because now this note, I say everything that I'm explaining is here, is on the chart. I can see it clearly. I'm glad, like it be nice. I'm breaking this market down with my notes. Yeah, it will be nice. Plus I have the chart here. So I'm doing video, I'm recording with OBS on here. I'm reading my notes, and I'm explaining the notes with the charts, and I'm recording myself talking here. I don't know why I am doing this, but I know I'm learning. It is part of the process. This, taking the notes was part of the process. Me sitting down and absorbing all this knowledge, watching this content, studying this course, taking notes was part of the process. It wasn't all the process. Time for me to reflect on the notes, to use the chart, to apply what I've learned on the chart, was also part. Time for me to merge what I know with, look at the gaps, try to, merge the meaning, integrate what I can learn to improve and all of that. It is part of the process. I can't skip any part, I can't skip any part, and I'm glad say, there's some kind of positive feedback. The thing is, sometimes it feels, although say sometimes a thing and a very boom, but I don't know why it feels easy work. It feels light work. Like I'm being disciplined, taking notes, learning, but I enjoy it. Like this, what I'm doing, I'm learning. This is an intentional learning because I have my notes here, reading the notes. Not, I'm digressing a little bit, right? But not digressing much. Taking the notes, analyzing what this thing is saying, right? Everything that is happening here, and I'm getting positive feedbacks because what I'm reading here and what I'm seeing on the chart means the knowledge that I am gathering in this book within myself is good. It's even better because how it is applying on the chart it's giving me positive feedback. The future looks amazing. The future looks bright, bro. Yeah, so let's continue. The main objective of the internal structure is to facilitate the swing pullback. So now we have this swing high and we have this swing low. We have the fractal structure, which signals the end and start of an internal pullback. We have the pullback. So maybe I'm starting from the last module that says when price breaks a structure, we expect a pullback on that time frame. How do we know that pullback is happening? That is the first one. 2. After a break of a structure, we expect a significant enough pullback for price to. We expect enough significant pullback so that we can mark on our swing structure. So how do we know the pullback is happening? How do we know the pullback is enough? Is a significant enough pullback? We'll continue, but we see now. Let me the book and my raw knowledge. Let me add this. To show you my ability, because to show you my ability. So book is a book. I'm amending this language to make sense on the charts. Book is a after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. So now, how do we know say this pullback is happening? Because you will never know. Anything can happen, and each market price action is unique. So we can see, say we have 3 type structures. We have fractal structure, we have internal structure, and we have swing structure. And we are saying, say, swing structures, when they break the weak structure, now they become a strong structure. And the real breaking becomes a weak, because we don't expect how strong you need to get broken, but we expect the weak need to get broken. Right? So when you break a weak structure, we start to expect, say, the pullbacks now facilitate that strong internal, the pullback can facilitate that swing structure. We will find our internal structures in it, and the pullback can facilitate the internal structures. We will find our fractal structures in it. When the fractal structures break here, a signal say now the pullback, the internal structures facilitate swing pullback, pull back. When the internal structures break here, a signal say, okay, yes, now swing structure now trading. Yenya, even the pullback nankasa. So we expect say, okay, the pullback might happening a bit from any moment, and with this structure will form a lower high, so that price will continue. Price will continue. Near family breaking the weak structure. Why? Because in the bearish market structure, the lows are weak. It will book in him. Let me read this. In the bearish market structure, the lows are weak. In a bullish market structure, the highs are weak. Swing lows are the lowest points that causes a swing high. Swing high is the highest point that causes a swing low. So here is a swing high, here is a swing low. There's a difference between strong structure, strong and weak structure, and there's a difference between swing structure. So we can have a swing low and swing high, and we can have a strong low and strong high. I wish Senka you with me because I also have another note I ever through on 6th July. This one is really 6th July. This one is 26th June. Okay, so we now note I'm reading is 26th June. You can see say and also a paragraph. So some paragraphs, all paragraphs are dedicated to BBR 11, right? So if you see this paragraph here, maybe I mean say see when price breaks a structure, we expect a pullback. Here, when price breaks a structure, we expect a pullback. It's a pullback at the end, but over here is strong structures and weak structures. So there's a difference between strong structures and there's a difference between swing structures, right? So look at how I mend this knowledge in this animal together to make sense. So internal structures, when they break, they facilitate this swing pullback. So let's say this is a bearish market structure. When we get a break of structure of this internal structure, it only signifies that this structure nice. It happen like, okay, now we have a swing structure, let's continue the move, and price can then continue the move. So this swing structure facilitates this pullback, the internal pullback. When okay, nice. When we get a bearish market structure like this, we expect the internal or the pullback to be bullish. When we get a bullish market structure like this, we expect the pullback to be bearish. So the internal structures are the kind of structures that is visible to the eye, but it is not significant as swing structures. They are visible, they carry weight, but they are not as much, they don't carry as much weight as the swing structure. Excuse me there. when the strong, so now look at how this is merging the swing structure and the strong structure. When the strong structures of the internal structures breaks, it signals the start and end of the swing pullback. Till the internal structures are the kind of structures that is visible to the eye. They are the kind of structures that is visible to the eye. But it is not significant as swing structures. When the strong structures of, so now let me pause, let me take it one by one before I merge this together. So internal structures are structures that are visible to the eye, but they are not significant as swing structures. So now here we can see now this is, you can see yeah, this is the pullback that is visible. You can see this is the pullback that is visible. Price pulled back, price broke this low. You can see price pulled back to break the high, price continue to break the low before you get this fractal and this low. It is visible. This is visible pullback, but we can't. So let me tell you this. This is a swing pullback. We can consider all of this until we get this structure. We get this strong structure breaks. All of this is a pullback. So now, do we deem this as significant enough pullback? That's the question. Do we deem this to be significant enough of a pullback? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because again, we have broken an internal structure. From the market structure perspective, we have broken an internal structure to facilitate the swing pullback. This break of internal structure signaled that the swing pullback is happening. The swing pullback is happening. Price continued the move. We came to the lows, right? We had this move, yeah. So we'll see say significant enough for pullback, right? We can consider that to be a significant enough for pullback. Yes. When the strong structures of the internal structures breaks, it signals the start or end of the internal break. So here the strong internal structure. But the moment we break this, the rule of the jobs, the roof switch to here. So now the rule will switch say, you can say, hasi, now hasi about be strong internal low. Now hasi about be you weak. Hasi about be weak internal high. I flip it from bearish to bullish. So here was a strong structure, right? Because it broke this low. Here was a strong structure. But the moment it's a strong structure and it be breaking, it signals the start or end of the swing pullback. So now when this bearish, for typical example, when this strong bearish structure got broken, it signaled the end of this structure. It signaled it signals the start of this pullback here. This we also had an internal structure here, right? So let's say we have this ahasi. We have ahasi. Within this your internal structure, ahasi. Your internal structure, ahasi. So let's say you forget it. I forget it. I see Nina, there was see Nina. I forget we. Let's focus on what is happening here. So let's see say we, a way. I want you guys to really get what I'm teaching here because I don't know. I'm enthusiastic about what is happening, and it'll be me. So I'm teaching it with passion, right? So I want you guys to really pay close attention. Although I'm following the notes, I'm following the notes, but still there are certain things it is not in the book. It just didn't make sense to me. So okay, here is the swing structure, here is the swing high. We have this brick of structure here. And again, I hope that this is where we are going to next. How the names of the significance of these brick of structures and these kind of things. But here is a boss. We will say here is a boss. A boss is a brick of a structure, a brick of structure, brick of structure, boss. So we have a boss here. We have internal structure. We have this is what I mean by the probability and everything that I'm saying. So 1, 2, 3. Let's see 1, 2, 3. The same thing is happening here. The same thing happened here. We have this 2, 3. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. The bearish market structure. But I don't know. I really get this, but I know you squad will get this too, because looking at this bullish market structure, we have a break of structure here. We have the lows here. This low broke a structure, assuming that this is a strong structure. So this low broke a structure to flip it to flip from bearish to bullish. The same thing is happening. The same thing happened here. We have a bullish market structure, a bearish market structure. It was broken to form a strong structure, to form a weak high, and then we got this low. So here was a weak high, here was a strong structure because we broke this structure. Here was a strong structure because we broke this structure. Here is a weak high. So the same thing that is happening, right? So when we get this internal structure, here is the high, here is the low, here is the internal high. So when we get the break of this structure, it signals after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. So we expect this pullback to around EQ, equilibrium. See. Let me do it well. We expect price to pull back to so we expect price to pull back to EQ, so at least 50% of the range. But how do we know? How do we basically anticipating? We can use supply and demand, we can use a whole lot of things. But from the market structure perspective, we can wait for structural breaks or breaks of structures. So let's continue. When the fractal strong structure breaks, we get a choke. What is a choke? A choke is spelled like this. This is choke. What is choke? Choke means change of character. Change of character. So here, Y is moving bullish, right? Y is moving bullish, and all of a sudden, price start drop here, and then you break this structure. You are switching the character has shifted to bullish, you know, the price is dropping now, then price below the structure. That's really cheap. That's really cheap. So fractal strong structures. Fractal strong structures. I'm going on a break. Right? But I'll do 3 minutes attached to it so that it will be what do we call it? It will be 50 minutes, right? Yes. So then I'll be back and continue. Like 5 minutes break and I'll be back and continue. So I'll read this. When the fractal strong structure breaks, we get a change of character. The fractal weak structure breaks. When the fractal weak structure breaks, we get a fractal continuation of fractal break of structure. When the internal strong structure breaks, we get an I-boss, an internal break of structure. When the strong swing structure breaks, we get a break of structure. So we have boss, I-boss, and choke. We have change of character. We have internal break of structure. We have break of structure. So when we get a break of structure, we expect say price maybe pull it back, right? When we get I-boss, it signals an end of and the start to end of a pullback. When we get, yes, it signals the start and end of a pullback. In these things, fractal structure signals the end and start of an internal pullback. Internal structure, I-boss, signals the start and end of a swing pullback. After a swing structure breaks, we expect a swing pullback. Okay, so I will end here and go on a break. I'll be back and continue. But the objective is to continue to finish this and finish the one on 6th July as well. Yes, finish the one on 6th July as well. So yes, the 6th July ones also carries weight. It's more dense. So I think that one is deeper. But yeah, we will continue. We will continue. So make I do what time me. Only on baby, only on, only on,
goes around, so I don't know go around no more. I will only go inside your comfort. Cause if I go, I go still come back home. I will divide only your guys, so I promise any for me like that. Yeah, only one mind was the mathematician said it for me like that. Now I got a tattoo, oh, but for me I do. You see the pain in glory, you see the pain in glory, oh, tattoo, oh, but for me I do. You see the pain in glory, you see the pain in my body.
The best of building.
Could you listen to my heart and to it? They do this thing cause tonight me I'm not ready to die sexy. Me I want to do it. No you want to do it. See me we know they waste the time baby. Won't be life in a now I got the tattoo. Just for nothing I do. Do you see the pain in glory? Do you see the pain in glory? Tattoo. Just for nothing I do. My body can't on you, on you, my body can't on you, So long you're looking for true love. I search you and my search is over. They can be on 911. You can call me when you need a shoulder. So what's popping up? Since so many girls and girls are quite popular, but I still fall for you. Somebody body with the best my medulla. And I need figure eight, baby face, body say it. But I like dog. Can't wait, real fire, every day. Mother, you that girl with it inside my head. Find out with it disturb my chest. Go shorty, yeah, go shorty. Mother, you that girl with it inside my head. Find out with it disturb my chest. Go shorty, yeah, go shorty. Did know I make the aqua del baco. Let me bend it. The view is so tempting. She get all of the machines we go make a brother sing. All of the antics we stealing me. All of the antics we got me go. Somebody with the watch in my head to love. And I need figure eight, baby face, body say it. But I like that. Can't wait. Every day, mother, you that girl with it inside my head. Fine girl with it disturb my chest. Go shorty, yeah, go shorty. Mother, you that girl with it inside my head. Fine girl with it disturb my chest. Go shorty, yeah, go shorty. Beautiful design. Baby, stay on my own lane. Don't need your concern, I don't need your concern. I stay in my own lane. Need no nonsense, no nonsense. I'm my own survivor. I don't need no shoulder. I want your nothing. From my head to my thoughts. I'm my own survivor. I don't need no shoulder. From my head to my thoughts.
Counting on you. Nobody else will connect to my speaker. And I'm allowed tonight. You gon' hear me sound my sound. The praise is for my lean on you. Oh, I can do. There is nothing that I can't do. Tell me to make it go. That's in my butt, but I should. Cause I don't need company, yeah. I don't need the company, yeah. Oh, that's right, that works for me, yeah.
Most of the people no good to me. I stay on my own lane. Don't need your concern. I don't need your concern. I stay in my own lane. With no nonsense, no nonsense. I'm my own survivor. I don't need no shoulder. I want your nothing. From my head to my thoughts. I'm my own survivor. I don't need no shoulder. From my head to my thoughts. I'm my own survivor. I don't need no shoulder. From my head to my thoughts. Many people need it, and it no be easy, but they no need nobody. No, but one thing I say is, oh, do not ever leave me. Oh, you're not you there for Zati. Oh yeah, now I'm ready to romantic. I no feel like nobody. Oh, mango, they come and go like they fly, go the animal. I don't know what you confuse you. Trust anybody, cause at this time, everything I ever fool, baby. Make them go falala, take you as a fool. At this, everything I ever fool, baby. What is? Make them go falala, you are never a fool. A fool, you are never a fool. A fool, so make them go falala, take you as a fool.
There's no doubt about it. I've been waiting for this night, but I don't know that you already mine. I'm stuck with you cause I know you perfect. Stuck with you cause I know you perfect. Turn out time to cry, just because we haven't been designed. I'm stuck with you cause I know you perfect. Stuck with you cause I know you perfect.
At this time, everything I ever fool, baby. Make them go falala, take you as a fool. At this, everything I ever fool, baby. What is? Make them go falala, you are never a fool. A fool, you are never a fool. A fool, so make them go falala, take you as a fool. A fool, you are never a fool. A fool, so make them go falala, take you as a fool.
Let's go.
Yeah, now I'm rolling pieces, but my heart is turning to pieces. I believe in
Never not
Cause
just
you know you fit my thinking. Oh, they lie to me, and I believe it. Oh, no, no, can't believe it. No, I deceit. Oh, yeah. I don't wanna go back to love again when I die. Sacrifice all I did, that's like me, no go love. Yeah, I don't know what to do this love. It's in make it take us. Make I tell you what you love to me. Oh, I used to have a girl love me more than me. No, no one outside, I'm burning kiss, 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 kiss. I used to think I'm not love again when I die. Sacrifice all I did, that's like me, no go love. Yeah, I don't know what to do this love. It's in make it take us. Make I tell you what you love to me. Oh, I used to have a girl love me more than me. No, outside, I'm burning kiss.
Okay, give me a minute, give me a minute. I'm looking for a map. Looking at the very strong structure, you can see here a series of lower lows and higher lows. So, bearish market structure, bearish market structure is a series of lower lows and lower highs, and bullish market structures are a series of higher highs and higher lows. So, with this structure, we have all the two here. The twos are here. The bearish and the bullish are clear on this time frame, on this 4 hours 12 minutes. You can see we have this series of high, we have the low, we have the high, we have the low, we have the high, we have the low. This makes a bearish trend, a bearish market structure. A bearish market structure is a series of lower lows and lower highs. Lower low meaning lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Then the bullish market structure is a series of higher highs and higher lows. A series of higher high, higher low, higher high. Then here is low, but there is high probability. If we say there's a higher probability that when price creates a low and we create a lower low, there's a high probability that we pull back, and then price will continue to break the structure to create a lower low, so that we will continue to trend until we don't trend again, then we change the structure. So what happens here is price created a high and a low. Price reached the natural expectation of waiting for price to pull back to any of these levels within this structure here to create the higher low, to create the lower low, and continue to break the structure to create the lower high, to continue to break the structure to create the higher low. That didn't happen. What happened is price continuing to break this. Can't mark, I don't know. Yes, we can't mark this one as we can't, when price is pulling back like this, we can't mark.
Alongside I'm burning trees. I used to now outside I'm burning trees. come back from the break. That was a quick. It wasn't quick. It wasn't quick, but yes, it was a nice break. It was a nice break. I'm still here, continuing whatever I'm doing. I don't joke. No, I don't. Okay. So before the break, we were discussing when the fractal strong structures and when the we were discussing fractal. Now let me lay out. I think that would be better for me to lay out the objective, because you can see we moved from basic market structure. We've identified highs and lows. We have identified trends in the market. We have identified clay type structure theory, part 1. We have identified fractal structures. We have identified. Now we are at break of structures. So it is being laid. What I want you to pay much attention to is how layered the thing is, because you can see, if you can really pay close attention, these are charts that this one I was seeing. I saw this price movement, right? And by having, you see, so we can deem here to be, what do you call it, internal structures. Whilst here can deem here to be the swing structure. This is like much deeper than what we have been discussing. It goes much deeper than what we have been discussing, but yes, this is an internal structure and this is a swing structure. When the fractal structure breaks, we get a choke. A choke means change of character. So okay, so let's look at this structure. Okay, so I say, when the fractal strong structure breaks, we get a choke. Let's look at this structure. You use here as a fractal. You use it as a why? Because with the fractal structure, we haven't got, it's like, yes, I'm getting ahead of myself right here, because the fractal structure hasn't been established, right, by anything. The note hasn't really stated anything, but the fractal structure, it gets created when we get candles that feels cruise above C. So look at this structure here. Here we got all of these lows, create a low. This one failed to close below this, so we have a fractal low. Looking at this structure, all of these candles close below the previous candles lows until, okay, let's look at this. The low of this candle is 8233.0. The low of this candle is 8233.9. This one closed below this, so this one failed to close below this. So here will be our fractal high. What happened? Price came back to the upside to break this structure. Okay, now when we get this structure breaks, here becomes our choke, because structure has shifted bullish, right? So here will be the low, and here will be the high. Let's say here will be the high, here will be the break of the fractal break of structure. So we expect price to pull back, but we don't expect price to break below this low. Why? Because it is a strong structure. When the fractal strong structure breaks, we get a choke. So it is a strong structure. A choke, change of character, means, okay, change of character. When fractal weak structure breaks, so now fractal weak structure, when this one it breaks, this weak here, when it breaks, what happens? We get fractal continuation. It means price is continuing the move. So when we get to this break, we will move our choke. We will move our choke to where price failed to close above. So here you can see we don't have any area like that. All of these candles close above its previous candle side, and we got this candles here. So we will be trading within here. Price came to the lows. Price failed to close below this low, and price continued to break the fractal weak high. So here's the fractal strong structure. Here's the fractal weak high. When we get this fractal break of structure here, remember it was bearish. The fractal structure was bearish. The fractal strong structure was bearish, and it's flipped to bullish to here. Fractal, then it held. Then it held and continued the move to the upside. Right, then it held and continued the move to the upside. We group this internal structure. So when the internal strong structure breaks, we get an I-boss. So here is the internal structure. When we get an internal structure breaks, we get an I-boss. This is an I-boss. I-boss means internal break of structure. Internal break of structure. When we get to this, move, here is fractal structure. Here is let's see. So if I'm marking this one, I will see here's the swing structure. Here's the internal structure, here's a fractal structure. But on the grand scheme of things, here's the internal structure, and it is a lot. But yeah, let's follow the notes. Let's follow the notes. In a bullish fractal structure, when the fractal low breaks, in a bullish fractal structure, when the fractal low breaks, we get a change of character. When the fractal high breaks, or when the fractal high is broken, we get a fractal bullish continuation. I've already explained this. in an upward market structure, so in a bullish market structure, where price has been making a series of higher highs and higher lows. The last candle that failed to close above the previous candle is fractal pullback or fractal high. When this structure breaks, then we move our change of character level to the last candle that failed to close lower than the previous candle. When this structure breaks, then we move our change of character level to the last candle that failed to close lower than the previous candle. That's a lot to unpack. But yeah, that's the reason why I'm sitting here. Okay, so in a bullish market structure, do you have a bullish market structure here? Yes or no? Yes, we have bullish market structure here. So when this structure breaks, here's the fractal in a bullish market structure. In a bullish market structure. In a bullish market structure, okay, I'll use this. So in a bullish market structure, we expect all of these candles to close above the previous candle's high. So the moment we get a candle that will fail to close above the previous candle's high, wow. So looking, this bullish move actually closed above all the highs. Wow. Here I think, okay, so here is a bullish market structure. This one failed to close above the previous candle's high. So now you'll be trading within this active fractal range. So here's the active fractal range, because we are trading within these highs and within this low. This candle failed to close below. So what is happening here is we are getting this impulsive move to the upside. You get this pullback, this continuation. So this pullback happened from this, let's see, this fractal structure here. So here is a strong structure, but yes, here is a strong structure and here was the low. What happened? You got the break here, and then price went up to when price came up and broke above the highs here, right? And then price pulled back and price continued to the upside. But before, on the basis of probabilities, when price breaks above this fractal structure, it signals that yes, this swing pullback is happening. But when we get these breaks, when we get to this break of structure here, now here becomes the strong structure. Although from a swing structure perspective, here's a weak structure. Here's the earliest sign that we are starting the continuation, the pullback. Here's the earliest sign that we are starting the pullback, right? But it doesn't signal the swing pullback or anything. It signals the break. It signals the start and end of an internal pullback, right? Of an internal pullback. So then we have this price will continue, then price will come back to here. Price break. The moment you get this strong structure here becomes a weak. You get the break. Price will pull back. Price will continue. So obviously, for some people with an advanced knowledge, they will understand why we have this triangle. We have these rectangles here. They will understand why we have these boxes here, and it will make sense to them as to why they are here, or like what happened within these areas did, at least to my understanding. But I won't go much deeper into this. But these are supply and demand zones, or supply and demand regions. So I won't go much deeper. We will continue as the book, unravels what is happening. Okay. When this fractal low breaks, the fractal structure shifts. When this fractal low breaks, the fractal structure shifts to bearish because the fractal weak high has now become a strong structure, a fractal strong structure. I've already explained this. Here is the strong structure, but the moment it be breaking, then here becomes a strong, because it failed to do its job. With this one has done the job, right? In demand region. So we can confirm that there has been a change of character the moment the strong fractal structure breaks, to confirm that yes, the internal pullback is starting. So we can confirm that there has been a change of character. The moment the strong fractal structure breaks, to confirm that yes. So the moment the strong fractal, so let's say here we had this low here, we have this high here. So here is the strong fractal structure. Here is the weak. The moment this strong fractal breaks, it confirms that yes, the internal pullback for this structure is starting. So price can pull back, but we don't expect this one to break. The price can pull back here, and then when we get a change of character, we can look forward for price to pull back to certain regions here, and then we will continue when price pull back to regions, and then we run till we break this low. Why? Because here is a weak low, here is a strong structure. For this lower high to form, right? Fine. This structure can get broken as it did here, but I'm digressing. As it did here, but it doesn't mean say the internal structure is shifting. But it means say the swing pullback is starting. Mhm. In a bearish market structure, in a bearish fractal structure, the fractal high, which is the last candle that failed to close above the previous candle's high, becomes our choke level. In a bearish fractal structure, the candle that failed to close below, the previous candle's high, becomes our choke. So here, all of these candles close below the candle's low. This one, for whatever reason, failed to close below. So here will be our weak structure, and then here will be our strong structure. The moment we get this break here will be the pullback. This one was broken. It's a shift structure. Okay. I will be done. I don't know. Okay, so I think it's very small. When there is a fractal structure break, we expect a fractal pullback on that same time frame. The fractal strong structure. Okay, so after break of structure, we expect a pullback. So when this strong structure break, when there's a fractal break of structure, we expect a fractal pullback, and price will continue. After, let's see, here's the fractal structure. After the fractal break of structure, we expect a fractal pullback, continuation. Where can I see another one? So okay, and this one now close below. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. So after all close below, this is not the strong, but let's, for example, after break of structure, we get a pullback. After this break of this structure, we get this pullback. Break of this structure, we expect this pullback. Okay. The fractal strong structure breaks, which is the choke, is the earliest sign that the swing pullback is starting. But we do not get the confirmation until the internal strong structure eyeballs are broken. So when there is change of character, we can anticipate the swing pullback, but we will still be cautious until eyeballs is in place. So let's say, yes, here, when we get this break of structure, we can anticipate to buy the move right away, but it doesn't signal the pullback, this swing pullback. It doesn't signal that this one is starting. But it is the earliest confirmation that this pullback is starting. But it doesn't signal. All its signal is the start and end of internal structure. So when we are playing this pullback, when we want to catch this counter trend structures, when we want to play this pullback and we get this break of structure, price pullback, when we get a break of fractal structure, we've gotten this break of structure here, and we want to play this structure, we will be cautious, right? We will be cautious that price can pull back to premium supply within this structure here, and then price will continue. All of this can happen, right? So until we get this, let's say we get a break here, we get this break here. When we get this break here, now this one is, it signals that yes, a strong structure has formed. This is a weak structure, we are forming this tree. So when price pull back, we can wait for price to pull back, and then we will continue and target the weak structure because price failed to close below this structure. So you can see price tapped into this structure. Price came to tap into this structure. We move. Price came to tap into the structure. So now feel others, but still price has been tapping into some of the others here, and then move. So yeah, we can play this one in the pullback, but you have to be cautious that this thing, anything can happen. Anything can happen. When the swing weak structure is broken, we will have to wait and get a significant pullback before we can mark out our weak swing structure. It is weak because the expectation is that price will not break the strong structure, but rather the weak will eventually get broken if we are to continue in the direction of the main swing structure. When with fractal structures, the candle's color doesn't matter. What matters is the low or highs of each candle. In other words, the wicks. This is the reason why when we get a wick close above or below the fractal structure, we confirm the chalk, but we expect candle body to close below or above eyeballs and then to confirm the So that will be done now. I think that will be all for today, for this afternoon. Yeah, I will be done. This will be all for today. No, for this afternoon. I have one to continue. I have one to review again. So this one is, I think, what I've touched on was basic market structure. This is a recap. So I've touched on basic market structure. I've touched on 3 type structure, and I've gone much detailed into fractal structure. I've gone into strong structures. I've gone into internal and the 3 type structures. I've gone into 3 type structures. I've gone much into fractal structures and basic market structures. So with this, when I continue, I have to continue with with 3 type structures. Let me seek out content. Okay, so swing structure, 3 type structure, premium and discounts. I've touched on it. I will continue to touch on it. Let's see. So this is premium and discount pricing. So that's premium and discount pricing, and yeah, that will be all. So we have much to go. The objective for this month, last month, July, was not go to say at the end of the July month, I was saying can be we at multi-time frame order flow. That's where I was saying can we do. That one can we do, but baby and me also see supply and demand zone walk through part 2. Supply and demand zone walk through part 2. After a hundred and some flip zone theory. So and I'm ending the video we are me kwa kodi di bar me ba be hwe kodi di bar at least okay me kodi di bar mba beda se me sorry a me hwe a friend is saying supply and demand structure we work through me hwe no be 4 times then my say me we na say me okay I'll sleep machine I will say this week me a review of last month there and then next month objective me draw then continue. Yeah, so yeah, that will be all for this afternoon and yeah today for this video. Thank you.